Canada is pledging more money to Ukraine at a NATO meeting in order to fit into the big NATO boys. Canada, which has been a big contributor, according to Trudeau, Slava Ukraini, the biggest contributor to Ukraine per GDP. We're now giving more money, $200 million more money. I don't know where the money's coming from. I do, but I don't. Like, it's coming from you and I's taxes. Like, it goes into a massive tax pool and they just take from it as they want. But I don't know how we're replacing that money. In the grand scheme of things, 200 million is not like a whole lot of money, but it adds up. Canada's been giving dozens of billions of dollars to Ukraine. And I just kind of want to know when enough is enough. Like, no one said once we reach this amount of money, enough is enough. Not once has that ever come up in discussion.
We now have the latest on the U.S. diplomatic push to end Russia's war on Ukraine. The Kremlin signaling this morning that there is no breakthrough after talks involving Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump's personal envoys.
We have a problem with a war that our people are trying to settle now with Russia and Ukraine. Not an easy situation, let me tell you. What a mess.
Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner sat across the table from Putin for 5 hours yesterday in Moscow. A top aide to Putin who was in those talks says there was no compromise over Russia's demands for Ukraine territory. This morning, the Kremlin saying Putin accepts some aspects of the U.S. peace proposal but rejects others. The Kremlin spokesperson adds that Russia is willing to keep meeting with the United States to keep those talks taking place. Meantime, peace talks, we know, are also the focus for NATO foreign ministers this morning as they're meeting at the alliance's headquarters in Brussels. Crystal Gamansingh joining us from London following that angle of the story. So talk to us more, Crystal, about what is happening in the session today. Of course, the issue around the Ukraine war, the issue around Moscow and whether or not there can be some level of peace deal top of mind. What are you hearing?
Absolutely, Angie. And what we're hearing at that meeting in Brussels from those NATO foreign affairs minister is that peace in Ukraine is a priority. It's something that everyone wants, including Ukraine. But they are also signaling to Moscow and Russian President Vladimir Putin that the weapons flow will continue, that it is a priority to make sure that Ukraine is in a position to be able to defend itself, to defend its territories, and to make sure that it is in its strongest position possible when those negotiations do eventually move forward. We did hear from NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte saying that it is because of the efforts of the United States. He made a particular mention of U.S. President Donald Trump for getting everyone around the table, for having these important discussions. But he says in the meantime, support for Ukraine must continue.
Thanks to the US, thanks to the Europeans, US sending its crucial gear to Ukraine, paid for by Canada and European allies, but also Europe and Canada doing a lot bilaterally. And secondly, making sure that...
I think I've turned into a conspiracy person. Ever since COVID, when the governments and these world leaders start pushing an idea and a narrative, I don't even have to look at it and know, I think I'm going to go the other way. I don't know why, but that's just kind of my go-to response. Call it betrayal. Call it I've been hurt before by the government. Call it I've been lied to by the government. Call it I don't trust the government. I don't care what you say it is. But when so many world leaders can come together and say, look, we need to solve climate change and push renewable energy, which we all somehow have massive amounts of money invested in and will gain and profit heavily from this, then just on the surface level, I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't think we need to do that. And when all these countries, all these world leaders get together and they're like, hey, yeah, no, we need to start giving way more money to Ukraine, more, right? Nothing screams America first, like giving more money to Ukraine or Israel. Nothing screams Canada first and, whatever, by giving more money to Ukraine. Like, it's just bizarre to me. And so when people like this get up on stage and they're like, hey, yeah, no, we all need to get together and help out these other countries. My initial response, I don't even know if I want to do a deep dive onto this because I'm afraid of what I'm going to see and what I'm going to find out. But when I see this, it doesn't scream unity to me because we saw what unity tried to look like during COVID, and it was absolutely fucking disgusting. I mean, we got called disgusting names. We got penalized because of our choices of not wanting to do medical things. Like, that's not unity. That's a cult. And when all of these people keep pushing this cult mentality, I'm sorry, but that's not unity to me. That's weird. And so I'm just kind of the weird person in my family or my friends group that just sees the news and the headlines and automatically has a bit of a contrarian stance to it because it's so heavily pushed by the machine, by this weird unity, but it's not unity, it's a cult. And no one can really explain it. You ever notice the people that fall for this, that wave the Ukrainian flags, that are Canadian, like the Karens and stuff like that, right? I get if you're tied to Ukraine, like your family's from there or you left there and you're like, shit, man, I wish we could help them out. I get that feeling. But if you're Canadian born and you're just like a regular Canadian citizen that has no ties to Ukraine and you're like all in on the Ukraine thing, their responses and their arguments are just so juvenile. Well, we have to do it because they're an allied country, but they're not a part of NATO. Yeah, but we have to do it because other countries are doing it. Yeah, but like if your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to do it? Well, no, that's different. We have to do it because Russia's invading them. Yeah, I know. I mean, bad things happen to people all the time, but it's not our responsibility as Canadians to be fixing everyone's problems. I get it. We're also a part of NATO. So like there's a whole bunch of other people that can help little by little. It's just, it's weird. And God, I just get the heebie-jeebies. I get the heebie-jeebies. I don't know if I sound a little weird right now, if I'm turning anybody off from this, but when I see shit like this, I just have to add my 2 cents. I'm sorry.
The economic sanctions bite, that they are effective. That's also exactly what is happening.
So there you hear the two priorities from the NATO Secretary General saying the weapons will continue to flow, sanctions. We will likely hear more on both of those topics throughout the day, Angie.
And Ruta also
Again, the weapons would continue to flow. Like Canada has a conscription problem right now. We have a retention problem with our Canadian armed forces. I think we're hitting all-time lows right now. We're using C7s, C6s, C9s from that are like 30 years old. Like we haven't had new weapons in Canada in a very long time. We need to fix our own military because what's happening to Ukraine could and will eventually happen to Canada. I mean, that's how the world works. What country has never gone to war ever in the history of Earth? Is there one? Is there a country that's never ever gone to the war in the history of Earth? I don't know. Switzerland's pretty neutral, but like, have they always been like that? Right? Didn't they dig tunnels in their mountains in World War II and stuff like that? This is what I'm saying is we need to work on ourselves first. When you go on a plane, they always tell you at the start, the brief, if and when the oxygen masks come down, put yours on first before you start to help somebody else, even if it's your own child, because you need to be able to help yourself first before you can help others. And we don't abide by that mentality with life, apparently. We abide by that mentality when we fly, but not with life. And I feel like we need to do that with our government, with our military. We need to start taking care of ourselves first. And that's crazy because I'm pro like an economic merger with Canada. If in the stroke of a pen, Canada became the 51st state, I wouldn't be crying about it, but I still have the recognition to know that what I just said is still Canada first. We need to invest in ourselves. We need to beef up our military, beef up our guns, beef up morale, because nobody wants to go and fucking fight for Canada and die for Canada right now. Not a single person. Not a single person. You got queers for Palestine before you got Canadian patriots that want to go and fight for Canada. Of course, there are some in the military that are absolutely patriotic that signed up to do this. And yes, we salute the brave men and women that have signed up for the right reasons right now and have always done it and will continue to do it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the morale is at an all-time low in Canada. And people aren't joining the military the way they used to. People aren't wanting to go and serve Canada, serve our country the way that they used to. But we're sending all of our stuff to Ukraine. Maybe that's a part of the problem. What if we started investing in ourselves? What if we had new gadgets? What if we had new guns, new toys, new things for our military, for our men and women to train with and to actually try and use, right? What if we had more stuff for us to use? Don't you think people would be like, shit, you know, I was thinking about going into construction, but at the same time, I could go drive this new lab in the military. Like, that would be pretty fucking cool. And the pay's pretty decent. They just beefed up the pay. Hey, man, you guys want to go join the military? There's some pretty cool stuff to do. Yeah, sure. Let's go do it. Awesome. Like, that's morale. Like, you need a reason to want to go and do it. And if it gets super low, then that's when we get to conscription. And I'm telling you right now, my son, my daughter, they're not joining the fucking military. Hell no. Hell no. Why would they? Why would anyone want their kids to join the military today? Why? There's no reason to want to join the military. If you want to use Canadian military products, go join the Ukrainian military. But there's no real purpose to joining the Canadian military right now. I can't be the only person that thinks this way. I don't know. Maybe I sound a little nuts right now. Maybe I sound a little defeated. I don't know how I sound to you. But I'm just speaking from the heart right now. That when we see stuff like this, that Canada keeps pledging more and more money, more and more goods, more and more goodies to other countries like Ukraine, it really brings down morale. I used to be in the fucking military. Let's not forget that. So I'm speaking from experience here. I don't know why someone today would choose the military over another career, a government job. You know, like, just go for the pension. Why be in the military when you could do something else? Like, I don't think there's an actual patriotic reason why people are joining right now. It's really low. It's really low. At least that's how I see it. I'm sorry if I'm saying cuckoo things, but it's just how I feel right now.
Mentioning Canada, we know Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister UNARMED is taking part in that meeting. We did see her there during that family photo. There it is right there. What are we expecting Canada to bring to the table on this?
Well, Canada walked into that meeting with some more money, with two rather large pledges, one helping out the overall plan, or the overall pool. It's called Pearl, and it is the comprehensive assistance package. We got two promises from the Canadians, one for that overall package worth about $200 million. Let's hear directly from the minister.
Canada's contribution to the purchase of this Pearl package will be $200 million, bringing Canada's total contribution to $890 million over the past 6 months. Second, I am announcing that Canada is committing $35 million in security support through the NATO Comprehensive Assistance Package Fund.
So two big funding announcements there from the minister. We did hear from Mark Rutte saying that he expects by the end of today's meeting to share some more funding announcements to benefit Ukraine.
All right.
It's so sad to see this. Imagine if this was an announcement. Imagine if they said this. You know, I would applaud, and I do applaud, when our government puts more money into our own military. Imagine if the Canadian Liberal government said, in the last 6 months, we've invested. What was her voice like? In the last 6 months, we've invested $934 million in the Canadian forces. That's between new guns, even though we don't like guns, and new cars, even though we don't like cars. Our men and women who are very brave now get some new stuff. Like, that would be like, okay, I mean, fix your voice a little bit, but hey, that's good news, right? At least they did something for us here. But no, we've sent $934 million to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini, Canada first, right? Like, come on, man. Come on. The liberals have voted for this. How are you not ashamed, right? How do you not feel some shame? And I will say this, because Carney did recently say that I think there was like several $billion in pay increase and in dated paybacks, right? So the services are getting a little bump. That's nice. That is nice. But it defeats morale when we're sending a quarter of what's being invested in Canada to Ukraine, specifically to Ukraine. You know, it's like you're out with your friends and some dude walks by and you fucking hate that dude. And you give your friends $10 or you buy your friends a round of drinks. You buy your friends 3 or 4 drinks each. And this dude that you hate walks up and you're like, I fucking hate this dude, but I'm going to buy him a drink. And your friend's like, whoa, man, why didn't you buy us another drink if you fucking hate the guy? That's a weird example because our leaders don't hate Ukraine and a lot of the country doesn't hate Ukraine. And I'm just going off the cuff here, but just take that example and form it into something that makes sense. And that's what I'm trying to say. I don't understand Canada right now. I really don't. I really freaking don't.